while they are taking a picture, I would like to introduce our next guest.
I'll probably take this off.
Not for the first time on NFT Bucharest stage, member of academia as a vice dean for FABIZ University, and here today to talk about Romania's place in the macroeconomics for the coming years. Let's welcome everyone, Sorin Anagnoste.
Good, I write, so before joining academia, I have worked for 15 years in different large companies, and usually I write all my ideas on business strategy and beyond in a weekly newsletter, which is called on strategy newsletter.onstrategy.eu. It's a weekly one, and then of course I write different articles on media, in the media, about topics that are of interest. The newsletter is okay. We can be friends also on LinkedIn if you are there. So you probably know by now this quote from Ayrton Senna that you cannot overtake 15 cars when it's sunny, but you can do when it's raining, right? And I think the business environment now is, again, from this point of view, rainy, right? So we as a country can perform better. And of course, we have this quote from Aaron Levi, who says that incumbents, right, they build they get disrupted because the very most a company builds up to the successful in one era becomes a liability in the next one. So that's why I think NFTs and all of these can have a disruption all in the future. And by disruption, I mean tokenization. These are the strategic CEO priorities for 2023-2024. As you can see, growth and tech related are on top, still on top. And what happened in the last, I would say, 3 years actually, 3 years and something, is that we experienced a lot of things from macro, political, crypto, which in the end led to forced acceleration, forced experimentation, which led to broken habits, right? Even my grandmother, I was saying, that is now buying online different stuff from shoes to groceries. So this new era of, let's say, that we are experiencing is called the era of the end of free money, right? Everybody raised their interest. We see how it is. We know, look at Romania. So that means they put also a stop on the economy from borrowing money to buy apartments, to buy real estate, to do investments in companies and so on. And that's a reality, and it's going to stay for 2-3 years, and so on. So here's a joke that my friends used to had 6 months ago about iOS, right? You build first on iOS, and then 6 months later on the Android. Now you launch now everywhere except the EU, and then 6 months later you launch it in the EU. As an example, you have the application called Threads, right? That is just a warning, right? So we see in this graph that the GDP of European Union is now lower than China, but what's interesting is that in 2008, they were more or less the same, even higher for a shortened period for the European Union. So over-regulation, keep in mind, that drives growth away. Meta needed 10,000 people to 1,000 people to deal with the Digital Markets Act and Digital Service Acts from the European Union in order to not take a fine, right? So over-regulation helps the incumbents, keep that in mind, and drives regulation away. And we can see that the US is now totally distanced, it's apart from EU. Even it's Eurozone or UK or European Union, right? On China, it's important because, it's the second largest economy, right? I said that it is going to get older before it gets richer, and they are estimated to be 500 million or 600 million by the end of the century. That's a lot less, right? And their consumer confidence index reflects that state. And that's why they probably will never surpass the American economy ever. And that's a hard thing to say, but it's happening. I mean, I have been living with this saying that China is going to overtake the US economy for at least 10 years. It didn't happen, and it will not happen. Mark my words. Maybe India, probably India at some point will do it, for sure will do it, but probably it will be, I don't know, 20, 70, in 50 years, who knows. So what is happening right now, as you can probably know, there is a de-risking strategy from China. Companies are not investing in China due to, to their aggressive position and their preparations for war. So another thing that I have here is that as a trend, as a macro trend, before going to Romania, is that global news, local news become global news. Yeah, I am from Călăraș. In Călăraș it was a protest for Gaza. There are so many protests, so many things in Călăraș to protest for, from lack of education, streets, hospitals, you name it, everything. Everything that comes by, it's a problem, but they were on the street for Gaza. Right? Because they saw on TikTok something, a video and so on, which I call, that's why, from my point of view, is good to ban TikTok. And we can have a discussion on that. And this is the pro-Israel, right? So the Central and Eastern Europe has 5 vectors of risk. One is the prolonged economic stagnation due to Germany, who relied most of their industries on cheap energy, which is now gone. Delayed of fiscal consolidation because elections, and second, military spending to 2%, because Trump said, I'm going to come to the White House and you're not going to be defended if you don't pay. And then other commitments, NATO and so on, that some countries are taking serious, like Poland, who will spend 5% of the GDP, double, and something. Uncertainty over payments from the EU funds. Yeah, if you don't report, pay, and so on, that's a clear thing that will happen. Then sticky inflation, which is still high, 7% officially. And potential for increased population in the election year, not only here, but also in other countries. Everyone is voting. Half of the planet is voting this year. Half of the planet, that's a lot, right? So, yes. Here is Romania, and the trend is since 2011, it's actually this trend, positive trend. It's from 2022, but it was actually created like 1 month ago or 2 months ago, this graph from the Eurostat, and published the research. So in terms of how much we can pay with the money that we get, we are already at the level of Spain and close to Portugal, but already surpassed different countries from like Hungary and so on for the first time in our history. And you can say this is bullshit, but then we have the GDPs, the gross domestic product of these countries, and you can see that we are top and increasing. And then we have, we estimate, so our GDP in 2023 was $350 billion, and it is expected, if it's on a positive track, because there are 3 tracks, right? Realistic, optimistic, and pessimistic. On the optimistic one, it's 1 trillion in 2035. Others, the realistic, probably it will be 800, 700. That's a lot, I mean. Just think what will happen at this, because we get richer, we see that. And this is estimated for 2050. Amazing numbers, I know. And here it's a rating from Moody's. It was like from 3 weeks ago, and Moody's said, for the first time we got a Baa3. So that means we are not anymore BBB or BBB minus and so on, because we are doing okay. And some key conclusions is that, okay, we have high economic strength, but it's balanced by relative weak institutions, like I said, with the Călăraș and so on, right? Okay, expected growth, 3% this year, 3.5% next year, and so on. I saw yesterday from Standard & Poor's saying that they expect at least until 2028 to have a serious growth, right? Not going to stay too much on this. You can send me an email if you want to get the presentation. And we can see that on the overall life satisfaction, we are at 7.7, which is second place in the European Union, on the same par with Poland and Finland, and just behind 7.9 of Austria. Yeah. If you see that people complain, this is the natural cultural state of the Romanians. But they are doing okay with overall life satisfaction when somebody asks them more details, hey, right? Even Syria complains, yeah, this is the cultural thing to do, right? I'm a professor and I go to all of these countries at least once per year. I'm telling you, speaking with students, professors, so on, they are much poorer or getting poorer. Keep in mind that overregulation drives growth away. You put high taxes, you put different taxes, everybody leaves, nobody pays. It's everything, you go there, can you pay it with cash, please? This is what they're saying. Okay, we discussed about this. So, on the growth in 2023, if you want to see how was from where came the growth, constructions, IT, and services, somehow relative growth retail. Keep in mind here the constructions that the authorizations are not anymore out. So we are building what we have from the past. Warning for those who stop the progress. Yeah, and negative contribution industrial production, which will change very much with the gas from the Black Sea, which will bring billions of investments in here, in Romania. Where? Galați and Brăila. Who? BASF, the largest in the Europe, I think worldwide, I think is the largest investor. Okay, 3.5, probably 3, we'll see. Not going to stay too much. What are the 4 main pillars to reach the 1 trillion or 1.5 trillion by 2050? So there are 4, I imagine to be. One is energy. Everything is energy intensive. If you want to build cars, to make glass, to bake chairs, you name it, you have a small business, energy. So we'll have the gas. And we'll give it to the others, like Republic of Moldova, Bulgaria, and so on. ITNC, we surpassed last year, for the first time in history, the volume made from exported cars, Dacia and Ford. For the first year in time, ITNC, it's higher than cars. Keep in mind that BMW made 2 strategic decisions: to open a new factory in Bulgaria, in Hungary, sorry, and to develop an R&D center in Cluj. Those people in Cluj are paid overall more than those people in Hungary. If I make some mistakes, please correct me. And of course, we need to build the roads. We don't have the roads, right? The highways and so on. We know that 600 something are already contracted and the works have started. 200, 300 are just in progress, and we still need to build more. And this is happening because it's a war at our door. So that's why they need to transport very fast tanks and other stuff, right? That's why there is such a speed on Autostrada highway to Iași, yeah? So the war is almost here. Almost here. And I'm not telling after reading the press. I'm telling because I'm telling. Agriculture. We are producing now, I will show to my grandmother, look the numbers, 4 times more than 99 production. No, I don't believe you. What can you do? You cannot, right? Who would you vote, Grandma? Probably our, right? So, election year. Okay, you know that some important fiscal changes started already in 2024. Probably you work on micro, PFA, and so on and so on. What I'm telling you to do, that this year we don't have any raised taxes, but starting next year it's mandatory to do the fiscal consolidation that I mentioned, and probably the most easier tax to implement, it will be the VAT increase to 22 or 24%. It started the discussion with 22%, and now we moved to 24%. Yes. Yes, because it's easier to give it to somebody like this instead of putting different taxes like progressive salary tax and so on, income tax.
But they also keep those taxes.
Sorry?
They also keep the taxes extra on the
Yes. Yes, so, I mean, we have only, now we have only 2 types of VATs, 2 levels, 9 and 19, that's it. It was 5 for food, for, I don't know, apartments up to a certain amount and so on. And now it's only 9 and 19. And probably they will bring also the 9 to a higher level, but anyway, it will be 22 or 24. So be prepared. Here is my friend who made this, yeah, so. Iancu. I know some people don't like him, but he's a nice guy. Okay, don't spend too much because, okay, this is the only problem that we have is a fiscal deficit. Why? Because you have the professors, which are at least 300,000 professors compared to 10,000 doctors, right? So when they increase the salaries in 2 rounds, 13% 1st of January and 7% in this June, you will have a massive hit over here, right? You cannot increase everything. You increase this year the professors, in 2 years, I don't know, admin staff and so on. So this is the largest. Probably it will be close to 6%, the fiscal deficit. The commercial is starting to reduce. Why? Because we started to have more factories over here to build, instead of importing from different countries, especially food from Hungary, processed food, and another type of foods from like pork, €1 billion deficit with Poland. You know, the salami, Sibiu salami, this is not a high quality salami because it was done, it was a copy paste, the first plagiarism that I know of the German community from Sibiu. It was actually from, it was an inspiration to say so, from Italy. And that was made with pork that was from the female, all female, the lower part of the body, anyway. Not high quality, but anyway, we don't produce that here. I mean, we just process it, but we import the food, which is the most important part of it. Inflation, high, probably it will be around 6%. So when I made this, this was the estimations. Now I think it will be 6%, 6 point something. But anyway, going down. And what I want to show you is that the monetary, this is what is the most important. It will be probably also, it will continue for the next years to be around 5%. It's in line with the inflation, right? And I want to show you something else. How much increased the mortgage loan, for example, compared to 2021? You can see the actual simulation for 100,000 euro. If you had 100,000 euro in 2021, how much increased by 2023? Yes, yes, of course, of course. Everything is related to interest rates, right? It was Mart who had the fixed interest rate, right? Back in 20...
Interest rates peak. Wouldn't they drop in the next few years?
Yes, of course they will drop. I mean, it's necessary. They increase, they drop. But first the inflation has to drop. And the inflation is not dropping because the government is printing money. Hello, welcome crypto. Last night I was late staying to find out the latest details from the FTX recovery. You know that they spend some wild stuff. This is a good case study for business ethics. All right? Okay. Another thing that I'm bullish on Romania is that in 2022 we had the first time in our history that we received, not history, after 89, that more people came in Romania than left, plus 85,000. We don't have yet the numbers for 2023. But what we know that by 2030, 2 to 3 million Romanians will come back, and then we'll have also 1 million blue-collar workers from East Asia. Before going, yes?
This number of the people coming back, do you think it has something to do with like the other nations that come to Romania for example, to do like all this kind of job that we see, you know, like the supply chain and things like that?
So there are two reasons. First, we saw also with other countries that in the 70s and 80s did what we've done. That means Greece, Italy, and Spain, and Portugal going to work in France, Germany, UK, and other countries. Half of them return home. So we know this is going to happen. The second thing is that the income has increased so much. For example, in Bucharest, it's around 102,000 euro, which is the average, 1,200. All the taxi drivers and so on that you ask from Uber and to taxi drivers and so on, they make Glovo, they make 2,000 euro at least 2,000 euro. So, one, the salaries have increased so much, and second, the salaries actually in real money, they decreased in the West. I mean, I have neighbors who left from my apartment, they left in 2004, they had back then 1,200 euro in Spain. Today they have 1,400 euro. And they plan to return for their kids. They cannot find work due to the overregulation and taxation. We cannot start. When you have too many taxes and too many rules to comply with, nobody opens a business. They want to work for the state. Right? Yes. Saving rates are decreasing. Why? Because the people are also like me are paying faster the debt to get rid of the high interest rates. Right? We have elections. There's a political instability. Here are some countries, and when there are the elections in Europe, in Eastern Europe, Central and Eastern Europe. Some conclusion: disposable income is increasing. At the national level, it's 1,000 euro. At the national level, 1,000 euro. I look for Călăraș because I'm from Călăraș. It's close to 800 euro. Amazing stuff. And don't imagine that the prices in Călăraș for when you go to the market or Penny or Leader are the one from Bucharest. I mean, with 800 euros, you are having a decent life, and you can go also in a holiday. Saving rates, confidence, I would say yellow because the savings have decreased, but they have decreased because people are more conscious and paying faster because the debt, because they don't want to pay interest. The GDP growth is higher and will continue to be strong by 2028, then we'll see, but still growth. Unemployment, you know that in Bucharest nobody is unemployed in other countries, other cities. This is our lack, the fiscal monetary policy, but this will improve only after the elections. This is the life, right? Investments and labor market, for example, in the faculty where I work, at the school that I work, we had recently a meeting with the commercial department of the Austrian embassy that said that there are 200 companies looking to relocate from China to Romania and looking for land and to employ from 2,000 to 10,000 people in different stages of development, right? And now we are looking for them for land in different counties around with access to the airport and so on. And the last one, it will be spending expenditures that will continue because we need to get the F-35s, right? The airplanes and other stuff. We buy what the Poland buys because in the next phase of the war, if the Ukraine will go down, at this moment, this is how the things are working, by the way. And if Trump will come to power to the White House, he will stop any or most of the help to the Ukrainians, so probably we'll have to step in. So that step in will mean probably you will start working for your nice tech startup and you'll be in the army if you are below 40. And if you are between 40 and 50, probably you'll be in the second line. Just for you to know that this is happening. And we buy everything what the Polish are buying, right? We buy the same tanks from the same companies, we buy the same planes, drones, missiles, we buy everything what they buy, but only lower. Because we are not first in the line, they are the first, and then we are second for a future war. We'll see. So let's hope and donate for the Ukrainian army because time's tough. So I think that's all. Thank you. Yes.
Any chance you can get the slides?
Yes, sure.
Just email?
Email to me, but don't spread it. It's classified. No, actually, I present this kind of presentations for board meetings, and then I ask money for them. So I did this one only twice, so I want to do it at least 3 more times until I will share it publicly on my website. Thank you. Sticky inflation means why, for example, the United States has decreased the inflation now to 3.5%, I think 3%. Why? Why haven't we decreased faster? We saw actually a small increase to 6.8 or someplace in the last month. So that means due to the government that still has some increases in the plan according to the budget, meaning professors, the second part, pensions, and other commitments, including military spending, they'll need to print money. Printing money is translated, if you don't offer services and goods for the money to cover that, it will mean prices will go up.
Yeah, I know, but isn't that just regular inflation?
It's sticky because it's not going to stop today or tomorrow. Probably it will continue like this for 1 year at least at this level.
I think
Yes. Yes. Come on, come on, come on. Is this working? Yeah. This is different. Okay. Not this one? This one? Yes. So now probably you know that most of you work on private fiscal individual or PFA, right? Or different micro enterprise. You know that we have now different, if you don't have employees on it, you are paying 16% on profit taxes, 16%. It is not high to pay 16%. I would have preferred 10%, but, right? Then you have also the dividends if you want to get the money out. Keep that in mind. Yes, it's nice to have somebody, including your mother, father, and so on, employed, because if you are employed, you have one employee on a micro enterprise, then you still pay 3%, I think, on the revenue.
Under 60K a month.
Yes, yes. Anyway, keep in mind that nobody in Europe has this kind of stuff, and this was intentionally made like this for the people to accumulate wealth. That wealth transposed in apartments, cars, you name it. So that was the plan, for the people to accumulate wealth.
Nationwide versus other European countries,
We are good, except, we are very good, except one thing. The overall taxation to the employee or the random person, which pays around 43, 44%. That's the bad part, because we are in the upper part. The good part that we have, and I need to say that loudly, is that we have the same income tax. Everyone pays the same, no matter how you earn, right? That's the best thing, because PSD, AUR, USR, they're pushing the agenda to have progressive income tax. How much you are earning? 2,000? For 2,000 euros, you are going to pay 20%. How much? 5,000 euros per month? 60% tax, and so on. 2004, 5, 6, something like this, and then PNL came, the National Liberals, right? They came and they introduced this, and now they are the only ones who are fighting in public against these three parties and so on. So I know for parliamentaries, which matter at this moment, I will vote for them. I mean, it's clear. Otherwise, I'm looking what they're saying in the public.
I agree when you say that this is a good kind of setup for small businesses and creating wealth for individuals and stuff like that. But what changes would you make in order for a startup environment, a VC-backed startup environment, to be able to thrive in this kind of setup? Do we have anything we need for that?
No.
Or would we need some changes for that?
Yes, we need some changes, and many changes, and unfortunately, things are not happening as fast as possible, as I wish. For example, I have worked with Sparking Capital, which is a fund actually dedicated to small seed, pre-seed funds, and we spend most of the time, instead of searching for startups, to do paperwork, because the legislation was the same for us, like for a fund like FABIZ-ASE Asset Management, who had 10 billion euros under his portfolio. So now we have our new colleague from our school that is now prime vice president to the authority, fiscal authority, ASF, and she's changing the rules. And the best way to do it, I said to her also, take what is the best in Europe, and that seems to be Netherlands, and transpose it here, right? She said that she's working, I need to follow up on this, right? So that's one. Second, the bank should be encouraged to do this kind of investments, right? Because they need to take the risk. I mean, when you make 1 billion profit, come on, you need to give back. I know the startups are very risky, but give back 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 million. I mean, that's not much. What do you want to give? Saralu, Andrei, plant trees? Okay, there are NGOs to do that. But have the entrepreneurs, because the entrepreneurs drive growth, right? I mean, you want, for example, if you know that you receive funding to have 1 year, 1 year and a half, 2 years, you will drop for that period your corporate job. I would do that, and others will do that. So we need this kind of, And then different, I would actually not tax everything what these startups make in the first 2 years. Anyway, they're peanuts, right? And including on their people. I mean, it's clear that you need a different strategy because, I don't know if you follow Iancu Guda, he's one of my best friends. Most of the people hate him. Is that he proved many times, and I know that because I'm also a macro analyst like him, like 1,000 companies drive our Romanian growth, 1,000 companies. We rely too much on these companies. We need micro, like should be from also 10,000 companies that are micro and small and so on to grow to drive the innovation. If you read Monocle, the print magazine, right? Monocle is also digital, but I like it print. You'll see so many startups from different countries that do specific niche products and services that we don't have here. And if you don't have those small kind of stuff, you cannot work with the large companies that keep the economy. So that means when you're Kaufland and you want something very niche and qualitative and so on, you cannot find here suppliers. You need to go and take from Spain, from others and so on, right? That's why in 2022, we had 400 million. We don't know the data for 2023 yet. So in 2022, we had 400 million trade deficit for milk, if you can imagine, milk and cheese. Yeah, 1 billion for pork food. Another kind of pastry, 400 million. I mean, incredible stuff that we have here, but yeah.
And actually, I don't think there is any, I'm not sure if there is any good solution in the Euro space because we have like Silicon Valley and Israel doing the startup environment, right? But in Europe, is there any
Hubs?
Any competitor to those kind of things?
On the AI front is France, but the agenda is pushed by Macron that wants Paris to be the top. We have a large, I would say, not small to large, disappointment with what is happening with UK because we imagine that after the EU they'll thrive. It's not happening that. Not sure why. I mean, yes and no. I mean, probably Amsterdam is one on the top.
How about Barcelona? Now they have
I think it's a second tier, not first. So for sure, America uses different countries to invest in different continents, right? In Europe, it is which country? Ireland. In Asia is Singapore, right? So we need to strive to do as much business as possible with them because guess what? They drive the growth. Not the future of Europe. I said it also last time when I was at Ethereum Bucharest, ETH Bucharest. It drives in artisanship and advanced tech. Artisanship means Louis Vuitton and so on. That's why it's the second most valued company. And what's in the group, from cosmetics to drinks, Hennessy and so on, right? And everything was happening in these small shops, in small factories in Italy and so on, artisanship, right? Because you cannot compete on price with Shein and others, Temu, you name it. And the second one is advanced tech. That's why we have the most valued company in Europe. It's Novo Nordisk that developed the Ozempic drug for diabetes and losing weight. And now it's losing weight. SML is the second example. Also, it's an American company. Okay, it's Netherlands, but everything, the patents are American. And it was, if you read the book from Chris Miller, Cheap Wars, you'll see that that was given intentionally to the Netherlands in order to not give it to Taiwan to develop a monopoly on the supply chain, right? So SML is one of our last hopes, to say so. Yes, and maybe BASF if we have the gas in the Black Sea.
Yeah, I spoke about Ireland earlier, and that's very interesting because for corporations,
Yes.
has little to no taxes. So due to their position and everything, it's a logical and natural decision for them to go to Ireland. But I wanted to ask you about the taxing environment is definitely very good in Romania.
Yeah.
But we all know that the real estate environment has changed, and
Yeah.
everybody to buy real estate, but now they kind of dropped it a little. Do you know anything about the real estate environment in other countries in Europe, or what is your vision about this? Because
Yes.
it's definitely a large market.
Most of the countries in the Western Europe work by the concept of NIMBY. You know the NIMBY? Yeah, NIMBY, it's an acronym called that comes from not in my backyard. Do you want to build here a block? Not in my backyard, right? So this is what covered most of the Western Europe. You cannot build anymore. That's it. For some will blame it on land availability. Okay, but you can go up and so on. And you know from the energy point of view that it's preferable for cities, transportation, commuting and so on, is to build also on the vertical part, right? So on this point, we are building now, we are okay compared to what's happening, and we'll build more also depending on the elections, what's happening. You need to build according to a plan. The plan, which is the zonal, the area plan, PUS, right, hasn't been agreed in Bucharest, for example. Bucharest needs at least 50,000 apartments per year, 50,000 apartments per year. Why? Because more people are coming here for work and so on, and they need to, right? They need a place. So now they are the most, in the last 2-3 years, do you know where was the most activity in terms of real estate? Not Călăraș. But near Ilfov. Voluntari, Pipera, and so, but mainly voluntary Ilfov, right? So that was the most, because, and of course in some districts where it was possible to do that, for example, District 4, 5, 3, and that's it.
Yeah, but they're all coming to Bucharest, so they are part of Bucharest, not they are part of the district people.
Yeah. No, in specifically to Bucharest that was, but most of them were outside of Bucharest, that means Ilfov. So, yeah. It will be, things will change for this, but depending what will happen with the mayor this year. We'll see. The sharks are here also. It was another question from somebody, yes. No? Yeah.
In that GDP growth since 2011 and the projection towards 2050, do we see any outflows of capital towards improving the educational system, especially on top-tier education?
Yes, by 2026, the salaries will increase. For example, a professor will have just the professor salary in the university will have 3,000 euro. Now it has 2,400. That's okay. 2,400 just beside the research and so on that will happen, and it's happening and so on. So we are recovering very fast the salaries. The problem is that people don't want anymore to join the educational system to teach, let's say primary school, gymnasium, high school. Yeah, and the second trend that will happen, and you need to be aware of this, is that we are going to move to what is called micro-learnings. For example, you have microcredits. For example, a bachelor has 180 credits. You can see what are the mandatory topics, let's say, in business administration, and you can take from whatever you want, from what kind of universities, platforms you need to make 180. When you have 180, yes, you have a bachelor. I don't know what will be on the bachelor title, who will give you the title, but it will be a bachelor.
We are talking on a decrease of educational time span to accommodate these credits, or the length of studying will be the same, but more
The same, but it will be competition. For example, you want most of the people to do the credits in your school, not to take half from University of Bucharest, half from the Bucharest University of Economic Studies, and I don't know, something like this. And 30% online, 20 from there, 20 from there, 40% from abroad, you know, this kind of stuff.
Do you believe that the blue-collar people coming from the Asian communities are going to participate towards pushing the educational system to improve? Historically, we've seen
Yeah.
people coming to do blue-collar jobs in other countries like the UK.
Yeah.
Second generation of those families booming
depending on the strategy, the deep state is very concerned about these things in Romania. And all the visas that are given are just for work. They are not anything related to, and the law is very strict. We have one of the strictest laws on the par with Switzerland, or more than Switzerland in terms of immigration. We cannot come here and work or to have a citizenship and so on. So they're very, very, very strict. We'll need to take a decision as a society at some point what we're going to do with this kind of people, right? Probably it will be a good match with some of the cultures, with others no. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much.